Welcome back everyone, it's Charlie. This will be my full Fallout Season 2 Episode 8 video. There are a whole bunch of WTF moments, Easter eggs, so we'll break it all down. You could definitely tell it was the finale because they wanted to save some of the most messed up twists to reveal for the ending, and there were a lot of things that they did not pay off and just pushed it to Season 3. We can probably say there were enough clues in the way they ended the episode to let us know how they're going to begin Season 3, but there's still a lot of hanging plot threads, so we'll try to address that through the video. And they will be filming Season 3 soon, so there is a chance that they get that out by the end of next year, so we don't have to wait too long for Season 3 episodes. But the episode title was The Strip, a reference to the New Vegas Strip in the way that they ended the episode with a bunch of the different storylines all ending on the Strip. Lucy, Hank, and Maximus's storyline ended on the Strip, as well as the Legion's storyline, and kind of the Ghoul storyline too, even though he was leaving New Vegas. Like, his storyline ended as he was leaving town for Colorado. And because of the way they specifically ended the episode, they're basically setting up a giant war between the NCR and the Legion happening at the very beginning of Season 3, which will probably happen on the Strip. So at least with a couple of the storylines, we'll still be in New Vegas at the very beginning of Season 3, but not for the entirety of Season 3, obviously. The opening scene starts up with Macaulay Culkin's Legionnaire in the aftermath of their civil war between factions of the Legion, revealing that his faction was victorious, and he takes Kaiser, or Caesar's armor, however you want to say it, the crown, and names himself the new Caesar. Also love the funny moment that they have with the actual message on his body. He finally grabs the body of that previous Caesar that had just been rotting there between the factions since the events of the game. Seems like they've been there for a long time. And we find out what's actually written on his note. He basically said that the Legion ends with him. He wanted it to all die with him, which obviously Macaulay Culkin's character isn't having any of. So I love the way he ate the note and killed the other person so that there would be no witnesses potentially to what was on the note, and he can just continue being Caesar himself. So we will see what happens with his character at the beginning of Season 3, because he basically marches now the reunited Legion factions all the way to the Strip where they end the episode. What fresh atrocities are the Legion going to commit in Season 3? Within the logic of the show, his reason for taking them to New Vegas, taking the Legion to New Vegas, is because it's supposed to be their promised land, with a little joke about Caesar's Palace Casino in real life. There was an actual real casino in Las Vegas called Caesar's Palace, but in the context of the show, he's like, we'll create our own palace there and call it Kaiser's Palace. I think the real question with their storyline with the Legion characters is how long into Season 3 will they survive? Like, what happens to Macaulay Culkin after the war goes down at the beginning of Season 3 on the Strip? Then this time, the custom Fallout intro is the Pip-Boy booting up, and I think this is meant to be both a reference to the Pip-Boy that Cooper puts on with Mr. House inside it, and the special Enclave Pip-Boy that Steph puts on later in the episode too, finally revealing what was inside Hank's special box. It was a special Enclave Pip-Boy that allowed her to communicate specifically with them, setting up Season 3. Then we go back to the Ghoul, who's meeting the returned Mr. House. Hello, old chum. Most of what he says here is also right out of the game. The house always wins. Mr. House also drops a whole bunch of video game references to the Fallout New Vegas game specifically. There are multiple endings in that video game, so everything that he references here, like all the different people that came along and tried to kill him, are references to the multiple different endings in the video game that are possible. He even goes a little bit beyond that too, implying that other people outside the events of Fallout New Vegas have come along since that, like before the events of Fallout New Vegas and after the events of Fallout New Vegas, and tried to kill him again and again and again. So this is kind of the show's way of acknowledging all the multiple different endings to the video game, because people are always asking, what is the canon ending meant to be? And at least the way that Todd Howard explained it at the beginning of the season, like before the episode had actually aired, is that they weren't going to actually lean one way or the other as to one ending being more canon than another ending.
Over the years, my body became something of a target for wandering travelers with something to prove.
That it almost seems like the Ghoul is able to make Mr. House afraid for just a hot second when he thinks he's going to blow up the cold fusion diode. Like, what would happen if I blew this up? And he has to pause for a second. Like, he knows exactly what would happen, but he just pauses for a second because he seems like he's just taken aback, like he wasn't expecting this. But he is not wrong when he says it would probably destroy the planet. And to his credit, the Ghoul did leave it active at the end of the episode, which is why we see Mr. House come back to the mainframe computer, like the quick flash of Mr. House coming back from the Pip-Boy. So Mr. House will also probably help Lucy, Maximus, and the NCR fight the Legion at the beginning of Season 3. You have not seen the last of Mr. House. they have a little back and forth over the secret vault under New Vegas, which Mr. House explains to him over the course of the episode, saying that he waited to reveal it until now because Cooper never gave him the cold fusion diode like he was supposed to get in the past. Mr. House basically says that he was hired by Vault Tech to create the secret company vault, but at the time, Mr. House didn't know about the Enclave, and he was actually building it for the Enclave. The Enclave was meant to control that vault, not Vault Tech themselves. They were just using Vault Tech as a shell company. And I've talked about this in my previous episode videos too, like the mind control chips, for example. Mr. House created those with a specific idea, but really the Enclave was using Vault Tech as a shell company to get the mind control chips to do what they wanted to do with them. Then when the Ghoul calls him Bob, that also feels like the show specifically referencing the Bob apartment memes that the actors have started to acknowledge in real life too. The actors themselves have started to get in on it. Bob Apartment is a play on the Robert House name that fans gave to the fake Mr. House, so it's the real Robert House and the fake Bob Apartment. There are a couple more video game Easter eggs. He gives him the Pip-Boy that he then puts his consciousness into so that he can continue talking to him as he takes him into the secret company vault. When Mr. House starts talking to him about controlling all the systems around Vegas, like everything is rigged in my favor to help me protect New Vegas, that's also something from the games too. Mr. House controls all of New Vegas, all of its electrical systems. Back on the Strip, Maximus continues to fight the Deathclaws, successfully at least at first, until his weapons start running out and the armor starts to fail him. All the townspeople hide out nearby, start their own little Deadpool bet over whether or not Maximus will beat them. Most of this storyline is just meant to show you Maximus's hero arc culminating and just showing that he wants to continue being a good person. Eventually, he sheds the armor and tries to fight the Deathclaws old school one-on-one. Obviously, he has no chance of actually beating them, so he's just trying to show some heroism, thinking that he'll die a good death. Also, trying to prove to his father, when he flashes back, that he will eventually someday become a good person, and he's finally doing that now. Also to show you that Thaddeus is also a good person too, even tries to help him snipe the Deathclaws eventually, and also puts all of his spare bottle caps on Maximus surviving, like 500 bottle caps. We'll see what they use their winnings for at the beginning of Season 3, because technically Maximus did survive, so he should win that bet. Maybe the townspeople will try to disqualify him from the bet because the NCR technically saved his life. And obviously a lot of his storyline is them just stalling for time until the NCR troopers could show up, and it's the same NCR trooper that Lucy and the Ghoul ran into earlier this season. The other reason why they're in town too is to match the Legion's forces, so you have like a giant all-out war between a big Legion force and a big NCR force. Then we go back to Lucy inside the vault, who learns that the Enclave has done with Congresswoman Welch, or technically Hank has done this on behalf of the Enclave, because the way that Hank explains it, he was the person that put Congressman Welch, or her head, in this scenario. I've talked about this in my previous episode videos. The episode basically confirmed all my theories. Basically, for the past 200 years, they've been using her to program the chips because she has the perfect personality type for what they're wanting to turn people into. Basically, human robots like Mr. House wanted, but with a little added passive personality, but won't challenge them, theoretically.
ISTP on the old Myers-Briggs.
This is what Hank was talking about when he mentioned the ISTP on the Myers-Briggs scale. It's a personality type with introverted, observant thinking, and prospecting traits. Well-meaning, sweet, and non-threatening, as in they wouldn't try to challenge the Enclave. So the whole idea is they were trying to turn everybody in the Wasteland into this, or an Enclave loyalist. They use a couple of these moments for some WTF comedy, like Lucy tries to get her to stop, she's a little bit conscious. This also gives a lot of Mr. House vibes from the Fallout New Vegas video game, because you find him in somewhat of a similar state, like kind of a desiccated person, but still living technically inside a cryotube, wearing a hat that looks like this, and there are multiple endings to the Fallout New Vegas game, and in some of the endings you kill him, in some of the endings you leave him alive. But at least for a second, Lucy is able to get the mainframe to start programming the chips, like she gets Welch to stop, theoretically, so the chips aren't that big of a problem at the moment. The bigger problem with that, though, is that Hank tells her that he's already chipped up other people with the miniaturized versions, programmed them separately, and they're all around the wasteland, like all over the place, and she'll have no way of telling who's chipped and who's not chipped. And they'd be serving the Enclave, theoretically, and he sent all the research that he completed to the Enclave as well, too, so they can replicate the technology. That is all mostly stuff for Season 3, so that you're going into Season 3 not knowing who's an ally and who's just a robot serving the Enclave. Like, are you telling me what the Enclave wants you to tell me, or are you actually trying to help me? Basically a who do you trust kind of storyline in Season 3. When Mr. House is explaining everything about the Enclave to Cooper, we also get some confirmations about Hank's role in all this, calling him the Enclave's acolyte. Hank also explains the Enclave's plans to Lucy. Mr. House's original idea was to use the chips to turn people into regular robots, becoming more compliant, follow orders. When he calls Mr. House a bit of a robot himself, that's also a reference to Mr. House's current non-biological form when he mentioned in the flashbacks. The Enclave and Hank disagreed with that idea and wanted to add more personality to that, which is where the special personality type they programmed with Welch's personality for the chips. Then explains he plans to chip Lucy up so that she'll be the good daughter that he wants her to be, with the obvious twist being that the Ghoul winds up saving her and she chips him up, and at least for a second thinks that she's going to turn him into the father that he always pretended that he was supposed to be. When she takes Hank to the strip and he tells her all about the people that are running around the wasteland with the secret chips, mostly they use this scene to give her a final moment where she finally realizes that she's not going to have the happy family that she thought that she was supposed to have, and there's no redeeming her father. There's nothing that she can do about this. But here's the thing, the show kind of gives Lucy an out, and she doesn't have to kill her father because he winds up wiping his own mind with his secret little control box. So this is the show's way of getting around her having to kill Hank and keeping him around for Season 3, but also kind of taking him off the board because now he can't tell her anything about the Enclave or the other characters because he literally doesn't know that now. It's been wiped completely from his mind, and earlier this season, he said that the effects were permanent, so they can't recover those memories either. So this is also the show's way of keeping Kyle MacLachlan's character on the show in Season 3. But as you see him at the end of the episode, he's almost brain dead, not quite brain dead, but he has no memories of anything. He doesn't even remember Lucy, and he won't remember Norm either. There are a couple other things that he references too, like he talks about Steph, and yes, Steph says that she is Hank Maclean's wife. I know there's some questions about that. We will get to that storyline in a second.
Stephanie. Oh boy, Stephanie.
We actually did see Lucy's mother in flashbacks, and she had completely different color hair, was a completely different actress. So I think the idea is that he later got married to Lucy's mother after he came out of Bud's secret vault, and Steph stayed in the vault, eventually went somewhere else, but secretly behind the scenes, they were still married. He married Steph before he married Lucy's mother. So this is how in present day, she can still be his wife, but not Lucy's mother. Then we go back to the Vault Tech headquarters and the Vault 31 employees trying to kill Norm until they inadvertently release the Rad Roach farm, which wipes all of them, ironically because they try to throw him under the bus. And that's the thing that winds up saving him because he's not trapped inside the office with all the other Rad Roaches. But then he's able to grab Claudia, who seems none the worse for wear, and drags her away from the building, saying that he's going to take her home. So at least they'll still be in Los Angeles at the beginning of Season 3. Part of the reason at the end of the episode, though, you hear his transmission at the Enclave secret research facility where Wilzig escaped from in Season 1, Episode 1, is also to remind you that eventually Norm and Claudia, now by default, will eventually meet up with the other characters. Eventually the characters will all start converging on each other. We get a couple more reveals in the flashbacks too. Probably the first big one is that Cooper and Barb are leaving Las Vegas. She mentions Bakersfield. That's the location of another vault, which was a bad vault. It's a good thing they didn't go to Bakersfield because that was the vault that they used to test radiation on the vault dwellers. So they would have died in that scenario. Cooper then mentions they should go to Colorado, and I think in this scenario, Barb did not know about the Enclave yet, so she didn't know that the Enclave would also be in Colorado, but this is meant to set up the twist later with the postcard that he finds in her cryotube saying we should have gone to Colorado, that was actually a pretty good idea, implying that he needs to go to Colorado because that's where the Enclave research facility that Wilzig escaped from actually is. This is also why they have the billboard for Colorado, take your family to the Rockies for Colorado at the very end of the episode. Pretty safe bet that is where Cooper's family is actually going to be, his wife and daughter. Third time is a charm. But the other big Easter egg about Colorado in terms of Fallout is that's the location of Vault Zero from Fallout Tactics at Cheyenne Mountain. That was a place where geniuses from the pre-war United States could be kept in cryogenic stasis. Some would have their brains extracted and preserved in tanks for the duration of the residence in the vault, while others entered cryostasis. Some of them were also hooked up to one central supercomputer called the Calculator, which is a big part of the Fallout Tactics video game. Maybe we'll get some Easter eggs for this if they're all going to Colorado during Season 3 at some point. But the other big twist reveal in the flashbacks here is that Hank shows up with Steph on his arm, revealing that Steph basically talked Hank into proposing marriage to her. And I love the way that both Barb and Cooper react to this, because they share a very knowing look with Steph. Like, all three of them are like, oh, we know exactly what's going on here. Steph is trying to ensure her survival by making it into a vault, so basically thinks that marrying Hank is the way to do that, and trying to get a job at Vault Tech. Barb is in charge of that, so basically the idea here is that she's kind of blackmailing Barb, like, if you don't give me a job, I'm going to tell Hank the truth about what happened that night. But this is also why in present day, Steph tells the Enclave that she is Hank Maclean's wife, because they actually did get married in the past before the bombs went off. Also revealing that Hank also told her a bunch of secrets about the Enclave too, because she knew about the keepsake in the box, because Hank would have told her about it. So the other funny thing now about Steph is that she was about to get married to Chet, so she's just getting married left and right. Like, people are just having multiple marriages all over the place. Polyamory, really big deal in the Fallout universe. In context, though, in the flashbacks, Hank basically says Mr. Askin's team, that's Bud Askin's Vault 31 program, which is how Steph wound up in there, and they wound up together behind the scenes in the vaults down there. Part of the idea is that they then got separated because Hank got thawed before she got thawed, and then he lived a life with Lucy's mother, and she had Lucy and Norm, and they had a family together, and then Steph was unthawed later and did her own thing in Vault 32. But at least behind the scenes, she was secretly still married to Hank, like they never got a divorce before they went into the vaults.
Hank Maclean's wife.
When Barb says the two of them came out of Vegas a couple of winners, that's another House Always Wins reference, because the two of them definitely did not win. He gets the call from all the phone booths, and it's Mr. House trying to warn him about the Enclave coming to arrest him because of what happened with the cold fusion diode. Basically, the idea is that the Enclave had been monitoring everything that Cooper had been doing, especially with Hank, with the diode, literally watching everything he was doing, monitoring everything. So they wanted to take him off the board, which is why they arrest him, separating him from his family. You also notice that he tells his wife, do whatever you have to do to survive for our daughter, help our daughter survive, which is also why his wife probably embeds herself with the Enclave and why they're not in those cryotubes and in Colorado with the secret research facility that the Enclave has that Wilzig came from. This is also probably part of a larger arc to redeem his wife in the eyes of fans, because Season 1 made her seem like a pretty terrible person, but we learned during Season 2 the Enclave forced her to talk about dropping the bombs, Vault Tech dropping the bombs themselves, planting the idea, then finding out Cooper telling her at the end of Season 2 to do whatever she has to do to save their daughter, so any bad thing that she might have seemingly done was really just to try and save their daughter. Back in present day, though, he opens the cryotubes with Mr. House's help and sees that they're not in there. He gets the postcard for Colorado saying that it's a good idea, basically giving him the idea to go to Colorado, and we're in Colorado at this Enclave facility. But also now, early theory, don't you think that his daughter is going to wind up secretly being aged up in this person who's pretty high up in the Enclave, maybe not running the Enclave, but wouldn't that be a very Fallout type of twist if he winds up finding his daughter at the secret Enclave facility? She's older because she's been out of cryo for a while, and by this time, she's also either running the Enclave or just like really high up in the Enclave. Getting back to Steph's storyline and contacting the Enclave with that secret Pip-Boy, the other big part of this too is that she tells them to start Phase 2 in a computer terminal inside the Enclave research facility, logs it, and actually acts like it's going to begin Phase 2. What is Phase 2? Early theory right now is that it has something to do with the miniaturized control chips in the Forced Evolutionary Virus. They made a really big deal about the FEV, Forced Evolutionary Virus, during Season 2. This will also probably play into what Thaddeus is actually turning into, because they pushed that to Season 3, like he hasn't completely finished turning into whatever he's turning into. Then at the very end of the episode, Lucy and Maximus go to House's office with his mainframe computer and see the Legion marching in, ready for the big war with the NCR at the beginning of Season 3, just as House blips back in to his mainframe computer, like you see his face again, so he'll probably help them out in some way at the beginning of the season. Then this time during the end credits, they just pan outwards through Freeside, like through the ruins of Freeside in the strip, just to remind you that we're going to be beginning Season 3 at this same place. With a one little teaser at the very end, the billboard to remind you that the Enclave station was in Colorado, and that's where the Ghoul is headed right now for the beginning of Season 3, and eventually the other characters will also probably converge on that place too. And of course, they have a real big post-credit scene, just like a little stinger scene at the end, Marvel style. Back at Area 51, we see that the civil war between the factions of the Brotherhood of Steel are continuing. They're not going very well right now, and Dane brings Quintus plans for a Liberty Prime Alpha mech from the games, calling himself Quintus the Destroyer, implying that he's going to use the Liberty Prime to destroy the other factions first, winning the civil war, and then use it to dominate the wasteland. Zoom in and enhance on the plans there too. I love the Robco General Atomics shout out along with the US Army. Great collaboration going on here between companies. How much of the special effects budget are they going to blow on this?
Fusion core reinitialized. Liberty Prime full system analysis.
There are a whole bunch of storylines that they're pushing to Season 3. They didn't answer every single question, but they did confirm that it's going to be the Enclave. We're headed to Colorado at that same research facility that we saw at the beginning of Season 1. Everybody post all your theories in the comments. Supposedly, they're also bringing back Malcolm McDowell as John Henry Eden from the games too, so maybe he will wind up being another big villain during Season 3. But I do like the idea that the Ghoul's daughter is aged up, and she's also somebody really high up in the Enclave now too. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below. If you spotted any Easter eggs or references for the games that I didn't talk about during the video, just write them below in the comments. Congratulations Bon Jute, Julian Bruce, Maxis Potential, FCM 3D, and Iriola. You are the giveaway winners from all the different episode video giveaways that I've been doing. The Fallout people gave me a bunch of free merch, so I just decided to give it away. Be sure that you guys that I just named contact me on the About page of my YouTube channel or on my website. You can actually get the contact email on my website, emergencyawesome.com. We'll get your contact info so we can ship the stuff out to you guys. Also reply to your comments that I actually specifically picked, so we will get it all figured out. My next big video will be my Fallout Season 3 video. That will post next. Be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. Everybody click here for that video. I'll update the link as soon as I post it. And click here for all my other Fallout episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.